Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Know the Facts. I know for the past year, maybe less, I've been focusing my attention on matters of the town, which I think if you don't know by now what's going on, well, that's your loss. And this town has a lot to catch up on as far as treating the citizens with dignity and respect, which they do, which they don't, and never will. So let's get back to what I planned. I'm on the subject of health and health matters, and I think it's a good subject to be on, especially with all the diseases today. This is just comprehensive studies on what good vitamins and minerals can do to aid in the well-being of the particular type of sickness that you have. They're not going to hurt you. They're very good for you. They may make you look 10 years younger. Who knows? Or 10 years older. One or the other. So let me get started. Discussing vaccinations and autism isn't an explosive topic, but it can be thermonuclear. Both sides of the argument feel with a great passion that the health and welfare of our children are at stake. That is very, 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 very true. Much of that passion is the product of several lies told repeatedly. These lies form a foundation for self-interested parties to deny, obscure, and misdirect the truth about of what's happening to millions of children. They pit well-meaning parents against well-meaning parents. Remove the lies, and you're left with a deeply disturbing explanation for why so many children have autism seemingly out of the blue. Interesting, the belief that vaccines can cause autism isn't a fringe topic. Many mainstream media articles make it out to be. In the year 2016 election of 128 million people who voted for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, 24.3% of them believe this statement: vaccines have been shown to cause autism. That's 31.3 million people. That's a very true statement. And another statement is, I don't think it would be in this book, the addiction to so many different medications that your doctor is putting in your system. I know you got a virus, I know you got a cold and all that stuff, but there's vitamin and nutritional supplements that do exactly the same thing. The only stuff that's, as far as I can see, that's any good is taking a lot of vitamin C, because that wipes it out altogether. That helps quite a bit. Interesting, the belief that vaccines can cause autism isn't the fringe topic many mainstream media articles make it out to be. In 2016, I already said that, I think, yeah. The first step in ending the autism epidemic is to take an honest look about how it started. Exposure that lies told time and time again to distract and confuse the issue. We need to name names and hold people in institutions accountable. We need to know at common arguments that the rate of autism isn't actually increasing. Well, that's nice to know. That's very nice to know. Those beautiful children. Why should they endure that autism thing? I feel so bad. I want to hug every one of them. And that the science is settled, for example, and intellectually demental them in logical, fact-based ways. We need to look at the role of the media, big pharma, and trusted institutions such as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics. We need to follow the money. That is a true statement. The second step is to understand the clear and compelling scientific evidence that supports the connection between vaccines and autism. What many people don't know, because the mainstream media doesn't report this, that since 2004 there's been reversal vaccine. No, there's been a reverse in the vaccines taken. The only cause of the autism. I wish they made a list of some of the vaccines, but they don't do that. Other things can cause immune activation events. It just appears that the vaccines do it most consistently and devastatingly. What many people also don't know is the recent some highly respected scientists experts who were relied on to testify against parents in the National Vaccine Injury Commission program's vaccine court have recently switched ideas and sides and now support the view that so many parents that vaccines can indeed cause cancer. They have amended their views based on evolving science. Their words can carry tremendous weight, and I hope the new book, How to End the Autism Epidemic, helps put their comments. Many of the rich have never been shown the light of day into proper context. That would be nice. How the autism epidemic started, or the end of it. I think when it comes out, if I can find it, I'm going to get it and try to read some excerpts from it. I can't read the whole book. I mean, that's taking too much time. The third step is ending the autism epidemic, is to develop a constructive plan for how we protect future generations from a devastating epidemic, now impacting 1 in 36 American children, based on what we understand about the cause of autism and where families and doctors have experienced success in recovery. The autism epidemic is ultimately a failing of public health officials. That goes for the school departments and everything else. Relating to Shrewsbury, all they care about is money, and the hell with the kids. Because they treat the kids with special needs like dirt. The third step is ending the autism epidemic is to develop a constructive plan for which we protect future generations from devastating epidemics, now impacting 1 in 36 American children. I'm reading this again. Same paragraph, based on what we understand about the cause of autism and where families and doctors have experienced success in recovery. The autism epidemic is ultimately a failing of our public health officials in the United States, the CDC. That brings to light, I know a gentleman that's got 19 autism clinics throughout Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. I intend to call him, and I intend to get some booklets and brochures on what's going on. I want to get a vast amount, so maybe if the SPAC people down here can put them in a place where people can come down and get a copy of them, get a copy of the article, maybe it'll put some good people to rest, because it's a very nerve-wracking article. I know especially because my grandson has got it. And it stinks. The autism epidemic is ultimately a failing of our public health officials. In the United States, the CDC, a federal agency within the Department of Human Health and Human Services, is not only responsible for implementing our national vaccination program, but in a twist of irony, it's also responsible for the tracking of the number of children with autism. If you expect any group of any kind in this country to do the job they're supposed to be doing, it's a failure. They just don't care. They don't get recognition, they don't get paid enough, but they figure if I can get in here, maybe I can brown nose someone else to get me a better position. Well, that's a hell of a thing to say and do, and your mouth should be washed out with gasoline. That's all they care about is themselves. They don't care about poor children. No way. Why should they? Why should they? As long as their kids get up in the morning, God bless them, and are healthy and eat and fool around, that's all they would. As long as that's all set, they're set for that part of the day. They know their kid's all right. But some of these people, I wouldn't give you a nickel for them. They're really ridiculous. Federal agency within the Department of Health and Human Services. It's not only responsible for implementing our national vaccine program, but is in a way a twist of irony. It is also responsible for tracking the number of children with autism. It's as if the expression, the fox guarding the henhouse, had been waiting its whole life for this moment. Sadly, the CDC's failings are further enabled by scientists, doctors, and many members of the media willing to parrot the same old lies that obscure and honestly discourse about the epidemic and how it is to end. I know some people will label me a anti-vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaccine. If it works, it works. They're going to talk these parents and giving your child vaccines whether you want to hear it or not. And then what happened beginning of the end of last year and the beginning of this year with this flu thing. The first shot of flu was no good, so you had to go around and get a second shot. Well, did you? Did you get the second shot of flu? How many were healed by it? Was there any reaction? Could children get it? Could the elderly get it? And what was it all about? They don't put that in context in any paper or any book. They says, here, you got to take this vaccine. No way. Sorry. I know some people will label me anti-vaccine. This is a slur used to quell debate and a waste of my time and yours. People for safer cars are not anti-car. As Professor Christopher Exler of Kiel University, a pioneer in establishing the biological relationship between vaccine, aluminum, and autism, explains, how do you express a legitimate concern about aluminum and adjuvants in vaccines without being labeled an anti-vaccine? The answer appears to be that you cannot. We don't have time for these kinds of oversimplified attacks and buying of labels. Our children desperately need us to raise that to the occasion of an informed, intellectual, and fact-based debate, examines arguments on their merits. I'm not saying I am not angry, but you'll see plenty of anger through my book directed at the people in institutions. Now, he's referring to his book, not my book. I couldn't write one of these books if God gave me the words. The guy that wrote this book, where the heck's the title? I forget what the title was. Anyway, I'm not saying I'm not angry, but you'll see plenty of anger throughout my book directed at the people, institutions I have learned about are responsible for the current unprecedented crisis in our children's health, but symptomatic ad hominem attacks that a person in anti-vaccine for expressing a legitimate and informed concern get us no closer in ending this devastating epidemic. Each vaccine needs to be evaluated on its own merits. While I acknowledge the vaccines provide some benefit to society in reducing the cases of certain acute illness that also cause brain damage. That is very serious, the brain damage. Very, very serious. They're starting to count and be aware of the people that get brain viruses. Now that is bad. That's very bad. They have hallucinations. They have all these things that I don't even want to talk about. And while we have the capacity to do it, we don't have systematically assessed the children who are more vulnerable to vaccines before they receive any. I believe the public's trust is very institutionalized. Who charge is it to protect our health have been severely compromised. This article is an excerpt from the book How to End Autism Epidemic. J.B. Handley used with permission from Chelsea Green Publishing, White River Junction, Vermont, 802-295-6300. And their website is www.chelseagreen.common. J.B. Handler is co-founder and chairman of A Generation Rescue, a nonprofit organization focused on helping our children recover from autism, and it's also a father and vaccine-injured autistic child. He produced the documentary film Autism Yesterday. He is co-founder of the Age of Autism blog. He is an honors graduate of Stanford University and lives in Portland, Oregon, with his wife Lisa and their 3 children. Now, here's what aids and here's what kills you. He wrote this little excerpt at the end of the book. Mercury, aluminum, ADHD, and autism. ADHD and autism are born from primary mercury plus aluminum that settles in the brain's midline cerebral canal, which divides the left cerebral hemisphere from the right. Medical communities are due for a massive wake-up call about obvious mercury contamination. This is a good time to talk about mercury because this town had it in our water supply for a long time. And all as he did, the superintendent of water, was call people in different towns and see how they handle it. That's really smart. You know, don't call places like the CDC and places like that have experience in that and see how to get rid of it the right way. Why should they? They don't care about the people in this town. How many times am I going to say it? Medical communities are due for a massive wake-up call about mercury contamination. Mercury is a great instigator of ADHD and autism in children in the 21st century. Until mercury is addressed, the conditions will continue to affect millions of new children each year. It's easy to be exposed to other toxic heavy metal, typically involved in ADHD and autism. Many soda cans are made of aluminum, and aluminum foil is popular in the kitchen, and aluminum siding is common on homes. Aluminum and mercury show up in the pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. Well, there's one thing I don't know if you probably know better than me. I know that a house clad with aluminum siding does more damage to the interior of a house than vinyl siding does. Vinyl siding melts and fire and has a way of going out towards the outside of the house and do damage there. But aluminum siding acts like a furnace, a stove. It bakes and cooks everything internally. Well, I hope you took some heed and awareness of this article on autism. If you didn't, well, hey, that's your tough luck. Let me find another article here. I don't have that much time. But there's a lot of articles I'm going to be bringing up, and I think they should be read. They should be understood more. And here's a good one right here. The powers of celery juice. Celery is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods because it starves unproductive bacteria, yeast, mold, fungicides, and viruses that are present in the body and flushes their toxins. Okay, now everybody get in the bus. We're all going to the supermarket and buy 100 pounds of celery. Yeah, that's what they do in this, any town, any state. Debris out of the intestinal tract and liver. Pathogens like these are so often the underlying cause of inflammation. In their absence, your body is much better able to handle whatever life throws your way. At the same time, celery helps good bacteria thrive. Consuming celery is the most powerful way to alkalize the gut. That's in part where celery, which is technically an herb, not a vegetable, is high in bioactive sodium. It also contains a cofactor mercury trace mineral salts as yet undiscovered in research. These are very varieties of sodium, other trace minerals, more than 60 of them, that are present in celery, work and symbolize and systematically with each other and with celery's regular sodium to raise the body's pH and rid toxic areas of the body inside for every crevice of your body, including your gut. This process is ideal to cleanse and repair intestinal linings. That's good to know. I did not know that. I hope this restores a little bit of faith in. There's some people in this world that write good, that write right where you're supposed to hear. And these people in this magazine, the Well-Being Journal, I started reading it. I'll tell you, I love it. It's great. Consuming celery is a powerful way to alkalize the gut. That in part where celery is technically an herb, not a vegetable. With each other and with the celery's regular sodium to raise your body's pH and rid toxic acids from every crevice of your body, including your gut. This process is ideal to cleanse and repair intestinal linings. At the same time, celery offers enzymes and coenzymes to raise hydrochloric acid in the stomach so the food digests with ease and doesn't repurify itself. This helps prevent a multitude of gastrointestinal disorders. Adding celery juice to your diet is the best way to resolve ammonia, permeability, and unrecognized condition in which ammonia gas seeps through the intestinal lining and causes high health issues such as dental rot and brain fog. Oh, that's prevalent in this town. No question about that. Brain fog, brain rot. I mean, you can read more on ammonia permeability and misunderstood leaky gut syndrome in my first book, where celery may seem to look like a bland, boring root, but it is anything but. In addition to the above, celery improves kidney function, helps restore the adrenals, and can even ease to one's mind and thought patterns. With its mineral salts feeding electrical impulse activity and supporting neutron factors, which is a key if you're suffering of ADHD, brain fog, memory loss. When it comes to celery, think electrolytes. It hydrates on a deep cellular level. Yeah, sure, wonderful. Oh, lessening your chances of suffering from migraines. Celery is an ideal ideal to address each of the unforgiving four factors: radiation, toxic metals, toxic heavy metals, the viral explosion, DDT, plus it also repairs your DNA. I could go on and on and on about the benefits of celery juice, but many of your ills. It is one of the greatest healing tonics of all times. Now you think that celery is no good. Well, this restores my faith in that celery. It gives me the awareness of what it really does. Granted, I'm one of the ones that I don't eat it like I should, and it's probably 1,000 more. But these guys study it and they know what they're talking about. If you have any following conditions, try bringing celery into your life: acne, attention deficit, autism, eczema, porous, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, leaky gut, infertility, Lyme disease, migraines, obsessive compulsive disorder, pelvic inflammation, thyroid disorders, low reproduction system, battery, disables, hypoglycemia, adrenal fatigue, anxiety, sepsis, that's serious. Urinary tract infections, kidney stones, kidney disease, pancreatic cancer, pancreatitis, and I'll get back to this article because I ran out of time. But thank you for listening, and I hope you took some notes down, and I'll be reading more and more of this stuff on how to help yourself. See you later. Have a good evening. Good night.